Ambition in the building.
Hello, Ambition.
Hey guys, welcome back.
Hi, it's Alex.
And Tiffany.
Hello. Hi, everybody. We've got a great guest for you today. Hannah is a Northeast-based illustrator. She's been on a journey from nursing to becoming an illustrator, and she was influenced by her son Peter's early birth and her own struggle with dyslexia. She's very interested in themes of storytelling and building confidence in children. She's going to share her journey from nursing to changing her life and following her passion, and she has one son, her 5-year-old Peter. Welcome, Hannah.
Hannah.
Hey.
I love having like a creative person on the show, you know, like a visual creative type.
Well, very exciting. It's really weird. It's because I'm quite used to being around quite a lot of creatives, and for me, it's unusual to be around sort of the sort of what would you call it? Like what would you
boring corporate types. Boring.
But no, it's a pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure, and it's just really exciting to. I've never been on a podcast before, so this is in itself like a new
of many.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
My ambition will launch your career, darling. Don't worry. I think
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think a good place to start will be. I think especially like we were saying before, when it comes to like the creative pursuits, so many people have like goals like that or desires or even talents. I'd love to know what made you just take that jump from nursing.
Oh, well, you see, now this is something interesting because actually my drawing came out not because I decided to have a career choice. It was actually I fell into it in the sense of it was a way of survival. So as you know, we've already said that I've got a little boy called Peter, but he was born very early. So he was born 3 months early, at 1.7 pounds, which is very tiny. So I missed the 3rd trimester, which I think is brilliant because apparently the 2nd trimester is the best one, apparently. I don't know. That's what I found. Anyway, so he was put on, we were in Newcastle, well, we shipped around everywhere really, but we started our journey in Newcastle, and that's when I started. I used to just journal initially. I used to be a words person, not a picture person. And I maybe did the odd picture to back up my poems, but I didn't really use them. Like I didn't believe in myself. I just used my draw my doodles for me, not for anyone else. And then we got sent to Sunderland, and the Sunderland team are just amazing. And I wanted to share my appreciation of them as well. So in my poems, I would write about, I would say like the nurse's name and write a beautiful poem, how she cares for my little boy, and I'd draw a little picture of her, and they would be so overwhelmed. Like you'd be surprised how I was surprised how someone feels so special when you draw them. And I was like, oh, well, it's not hard for me to do. So if I can make someone feel very special by drawing them, I will do that, because that's like, I mean, they've got my little baby, they're looking after my precious little baby who is is so close to death, and like so many times of the day, like I wasn't even allowed to hold my baby some days because he was too unwell to hold. We weren't able to sleep overnight at the hospital. We had to go home at night time, so we'd have to leave it with these amazing nursing angels. They were just brilliant. And then I spent a lot of time at the hospital, so I'd have one arm in the incubator and my other arm will be having a sketchbook on my lap, and I'd be doodling and writing away. And I'd have a journal where I wrote prayers, and I'd write literally every day was a prayer that sort of expressing the difficulty of what was happening, because I'm sure if any mums out there, I think gravity changes when you have a child, and never knowing what it feels like to have your heart torn in two till you have a child like that, and being able to express that was really helpful for me on paper. Talking about expressing, I drew about and wrote about that. That's difficult. Like,
the other kind of expressing.
oh well, I had such a small amount, like it was ridiculous. And they said, oh, just don't think about it too much. And I'm like, okay, but think happy thoughts. Okay, I'll try. Eat lots of oats. Okay, I will do that. I wrote a little thing about how, like, oh my goodness, this is so stressful. So yeah, so a lot of my drawings came from that. Yeah, and then so then we got discharged. There's a big gap when you get home. It's like having a newborn at home. So as you can imagine, with most mums out there, you just don't really, you just exist. I think.
Yes. Oh, yes, you got me with that.
Alex can relate.
Lots of box sets, lot of just being around sterilizing bottles and expressing stuff, and then I finally started sketching again when he got a little bit older, where he was just we'd just sort of sit in a cafe, I'd have a quick go, but it was just having a go. But it was when he went to nursery, that was where the challenge hit, where I was put out of my comfort zone, because I wanted to say thank you to this amazing nursery, because my little boy's got special needs, and they went further and beyond to make reasonable adjustments to look after my little boy, which then hence looked after me. And I wanted to say thank you, so I was like, oh well, I'll write a story, and I'll write a Christmas story, and I love getting the nativity in the end, because I think it's what a great story to share. So I said I'd happy to do that, and I'd happily do that for you, and they said absolutely, please come in. So that's where I actually wrote a new story, because I wrote lots of other stories before, but I wrote a new story which I also illustrated, called Sid's Silly Socks and the Christmas Disaster. And yeah, didn't need to know about that. But yeah, and then after that, then like I better stop talking now, because this is the way you're supposed to ask me questions, isn't it?
I love it, Hannah.
We've got a third host.
Can I just say, so I really, really empathise with what you went through. So my son was in special care, but I presume not for as long as yours. You know, I imagine you were in hospital for quite a long time. We were in 10 days. Ted was born with a lung condition and needed an operation when he was a year old. But Ted was born at full term, so he looked gigantic compared to the other babies. He was like £8.14. So compared to the little babies the size of Peter, Ted looked like he'd been eating meat pies since the day he was born, compared to the tiny baby.
Oh, was he put in one of those little trays? Because then the big ones they get a little tray to sit in, don't they?
Well, so he was in an incubator as well. And he was basically had difficulty breathing, so he had like nasal tubes and stuff like that. And again, I empathise with the expressing, because I had to do a lot of that. But how long were you in hospital for?
So it was just over 3 months.
That is a really long time to be dealing with that stress of travelling in and out of hospital.
Yeah, I mean, it was the unexpected. 100%. Our whole journey has just seemed to be the unexpected. We went in, and to be honest, I started at the RVI, and I actually went to a training session yesterday in the NHS, where we were talking about neonatal care and the transfers between hospitals. And I actually cried yesterday, because it brought back a lot of memories of your child, when they tell you they're moving your little delicate child from the one hospital where you've just learned to trust, because you just had a really traumatic experience, and you've just settled in, and you feel like you're going to be here, your child's just going to, they're going to look after him, and then they say, oh, we're sending him to a different ward because there's other babies that need Newcastle, and you live near Sunderland, so you need to go. And I was like, all I heard was, I'm going to put your baby in a cardboard box and post him second class. It's just like,
yeah,
imagination,
which they didn't do. But I remember arriving so scared, because even the travel in an ambulance can be enough to make your child very ill, even if they've got a special incubator that they travel in. And I could see, as the journey went on, I was watching he's literally the size of my hand. He was so small and so skinny, because in the third trimester, that's when the children put on their fat. So his skin was also very brown, because in the last trimester, that's when your skin goes translucent. But I could see him getting paler and paler as we went on, and his movements were slow. You know what I mean? And I was like, I could tell he was from the distance of the incubator plastic. I could tell he was not well. And then we got to the ward, and they were just brilliant. Though this lovely sort of senior nurse, Leslie, she put my arm around me and said, "We've got you." And I was just like, and then I drew and drew.
I think a lot about the NHS, and I think you never appreciate it until you need it. And just, you know, they say it takes a village to raise a child. You know, sometimes it's the medical teams, and for any mother listening to this who has had some sort of maybe challenges with early birth, they would appreciate this. So thanks for sharing how, you know, the importance of that community was for you, and how you were able to find inspiration from your creativity. It's not like it gave you an outlet, and it allowed you to sort of express yourself at a time where maybe you had a bit of, obviously you had obstacles, you had challenges, but you found creativity and outlet, you found peace in expressing yourself, and then using that to also express your gratitude to the team. So yeah, I found like it was a perfect time for your illustration and your creativity to come out.
Yeah.
Because I think you know, the best things often come out from the hardest things in life. So yeah, thanks for sharing that.
It's so true, so true.
And it sounds like your life's changed kind of completely from there, you know, to go from nursing to this full-time creative career. How did you make that jump? So you started obviously with journaling and expressing your feelings and writing poems for people and doing pictures of them. How did you make the jump into making it a career?
Oh, well, it's step by step, I would say. Now, because of my little boy's special needs, I know I've heard other women on with SEND, and I just think that's incredible. And I think I actually looked up the word ambition before I came on, and I was a bit nervous. I felt a bit of imposter syndrome, because I was like, ambitious? Is that me? Am I ambitious? And when you look at ambition, it's not, you will raise £1,000, you will direct over 1 million trillion people. It's actually achieving what you set out to achieve. Wow. And I really love that. And so my achievement would be being able to use my gift of illustration that's grown through the encouragement of people acknowledging what I can do and listening to the people that build me up, rather than the people that I used to always get torn down by, and actually use it to the best of its ability. So I guess that's what has driven my career. But also at the same time, my other goal is to make sure that I fully am able to meet my little boys and my husband's needs as I do that. So it's almost like a bit of a juggle, but equally ambitious, but equally difficult, because I think I've heard a lot of people say you can't have it all. Which is true, but it's where your expectations of it is, because I think you can juggle that ball and juggle that ball, but remember, you're going to have to sometimes let one drop. So I suppose you can have both, but you're juggling, and there's certain things I've had to let go of. Like for me, I did a lot of fitness things, and I try and keep fit, but there's I used to really love I used to sort of spend a lot more time, but I think my work has taken more of that up, which is really good. So yeah. So anyway, going into the career, so step by step, I wanted to get more. So the real thing that really got me was because after the neonatal experience, I wanted to share my story as well. And I was, I love my dad because he's taught me so much life skills. I really value his wise words, his brutality. I remember when I said to him, "Oh, I want to publish a book." He's like, "No one wants to hear about you." I'm like, "Oh, you're my dad. You're supposed to say that." But he's very realistic. He's like, "No one's gonna until people want to hear from people that are known. They want to hear people that have shown they've got proof, they've got evidence that they will make money for that. They want money at the end of the day, so they need someone who they can have a trustful investment. So they'll either go with someone that already quite well known, or they'll have something where they've got evidence, like they've got a following on.
Following or something like that.
Yeah. My dad said you should get a blog, and I'm like, okay, Dad. Like, I don't know if blogs still a thing. I don't know.
Well, I have a blog actually. Am I maiden?
I'm very untech sound. So.
I had a blog, a blogger spot on Google. I know that. Oh, yeah, it's a thing.
Actually, I don't. Oh dear, I have to be careful what I say.
You make. I'm loving this already. Like, I just want to take a moment to say thank you for coming, and what you're dropping so much wisdom right now, because you said something about ambition, and I think this is something that so many women got confused about, or get, oh, I'm not ambitious, but you're measuring your ambition against other people's ambition. Some people are to be a CEO and, you know, manage a multi-million-dollar business because they have the capacity, they have the gifts, or maybe they have the ability to sit with that discomfort and deal with it. Your ambition might be, you know, changing world through your illustration, looking after your family, looking after yourself, inspiring your local community. That is just as good as an ambition, and you will trip up when you start comparing it against other people. So thank you for reminding us that. And I think when we all take the time to define what ambition means to us and which balls we're willing to drop, and the fact that also is seasonal, which balls you need to drop, then I think we'll make peace with it and just do what you need to do. So thanks for saying that.
Really agree with that. And yeah, completely. I think wise is the word for it, because ambition, it should be all about being authentic, being true to yourself, and working out what you want from life and then going for it. As Tiffany says, and like you say, it doesn't have to be about making loads of money. It doesn't have to be the kind of stereotypical ideas of ambition. And I think Tiffany and I have always said that when we're talking about ambition, it doesn't have to even be workplace ambition. It is about achieving what you want from your life, living the life the way you want it, and not being influenced by other people's opinions, like your dad's opinion on no one's going to want to read that. What does he know, Hannah? Come on.
when you mentioned you have a friend, Hannah, tell us more about that friend that's been the positive, action-taking, accountable friend. Because we all know those.
I'd be delighted to. I know she will listen to this, so she's
give her a shout out.
An absolute shout out to my beautiful friend Becky. She's Northern Irish, so it's just lovely to hear her voice, actually. But she, I met her years and years ago, even before I had a child, and I was new to the Northeast, and she was like, aren't you having a hen do? And that was before I got married. She's like, aren't you having a hen do? And I'm like, oh no, like, you know, it's too much effort, la-di-da. And she's one of these people that will fix problems, and that's what her job. So she's just a very brilliant friend to have, because her job in life is just, that's her skill set. She fixes problems. So she made me the most. Anyway, yes. So she's been in my life for a long time, and that's digressing. I've got to tell you one. No, I can't. She might get in trouble. She's just been there in times when I've needed her. Actually, I don't know her surname, so it might be all right. She managed to when I was trying to move from one hospital to another, I had loads of expressed milk that I didn't want to waste because I spent hours doing it. And she managed to get a leftover icebox, organ donation box. Wow. With ice in it, so I could put my express milk in to take home. It was like this bit. It was the size of an old-fashioned TV set, and just like a friend who can like just do that is amazing. So
that is amazing.
Love it.
She fixes problems. Anyway, I was she was just watching me do prep the stuff for, because I sort of sit with her and I'll illustrate as I'm like chatting, you know, and she was like, why don't you start charging for doing what you're doing? I'm like, nah, it's fine, it's okay. And she's like, no, but people would pay for this. And she sort of sees the value in me that I didn't see. And so I was like, you know what? And I think she'd been putting seeds in my brain before that point. I was like, you know what, Becky, as you said this, in the year 2023, if it's God's will, because I very much, it's not our plans. If it will work, let it work. And I started by so I charged a sort of set rate for a storytelling. So I did 3 stories with some sort of immersive music, and I sort of went around trying to get schools to take my stuff. And then at the same time, I also made these cards, so like little greetings cards, because I think it's really important. Like relationships and encouraging people is very important. So for me, writing someone a letter, just it's a really personal, like you see the handwriting, it makes you feel very special. And so making quality cards, I just started with 4 designs, and I thought I'll smell where the money, well, not the money, but what I did was like, I want to keep in the black. I don't want to go like that's lots and lots.
And I think, Hannah, that's so important. I'm really sorry to interrupt you there, because it is all, at the end of the day, we do have to make money to survive, and it is about valuing your art and your time. You absolutely deserve to stay in the black and support your lifestyle through using your creativity.
I think a lot of women struggle with that, this idea of like asking for money or valuing or charging, because you think, you know, there's a lot of kind of fear about that. But like Alex said, you know, if you think about the time and effort you've put into developing your skills, you know, you have something amazing, and the value is exchanged for someone else to enjoy that. So I think sometimes you just have to take it into practical terms. And if you don't have enough money to survive, then how are you going to have the freedom of mind to do your, you know, what you do? So it's just, but I love the fact that you know, Becky kind of encouraged that in you. Is there anything else that she made you accountable to do, or any other way?
She's one of these people that she actually gets paid to do this as her job. She makes small businesses do well. So she was like, right, and she gives me a list. You need a logo, you need this, you need a Facebook page, you need this, you need to and just sort of, and she'd just be like, oh, you did that well. Actually, this is a good example. When I was asked to do one of these, it's a really cool market called Sunnyside Market. Shout out to there, if anyone knows Sunnyside. And they have a market once a month, and I got invited. I was very excited because it's quite a good market. And I have all my merchandise, and I had my signs ready, like doing live portraits of people, live pet portraits, and I had them all laminated, all lovely. And she comes, goes, "Oh." I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, that's tacky, that. I'm like, what? She's like, no. And she made me iron my tablecloth, and she made me put things in a frame. And you know what? It all paid off, because actually when people see, like, people do notice the little details, which I have a very much that I'll do polish. I try not to be like that. I think life, like that whole balance, I have that I'll do. But I'm also learned that it's a foolish thing not to listen to advice. So if anyone does catch me out on something, I'll be like, you're right, I would do that, because I think that's equally the most important, is don't not listen to advice.
Do you know the little details thing? This is a bit of an aside, but yesterday I saw somebody posting on LinkedIn and showing a picture of their a stall that they'd set up, and I thought, should I iron that tablecloth? So, you're right about that.
There you go. There, point to Becky.
You know what? But I think it's not excusing things, but sometimes we have certain skills, and we need to lean into other people for their skills, and you can't always do everything. You might be you're creative, you come up with these amazing ideas, and maybe you need someone to come into the stall and tidy it up a bit and look at the commercials. So, and I think, like you said, it's just appreciating that you might need different people in your life to do that, and it's okay to just, like I said, accept the help. There's another aspect of where you obviously get your confidence from. I think I got a sense of what's from, like, your religion, your Christianity. I'd love to know a bit about how that plays a role in your life, and how you make decisions, or how you see the world, how you build your confidence.
Well, actually, talking about ambition and goals, actually, that was one of the things when we took this on, was actually we wouldn't stop what we were doing with our church. Like, that wouldn't get in the way of being there for church family, people that we support and love in our community. And that was a big thing when taking this on. But what's quite nice is it's very complementary. But yeah, so I mean, even when I was first writing those stories in the neonatal unit, or even before that, because I'd had a rough pregnancy as well, I had to constantly acknowledge where my strength came from, and that is through Christ. And my full identity is in Christ. And if I try and put my identity in other things, I will get disappointed. Like whether it's like you put a pedestal on a job, that job fails, then what are you? because when I stopped my nursing, it was really hard, and I had a mini break from nursing, then went back into it, and I really struggled with, because I always said I didn't put my identity wasn't my job. But then when it came to it, I was like, actually, a little bit of me did. And when you walk down, when you tell people you're a nurse, they go, oh, and they think you're clever, they think you're collected, they think you're trustworthy. And then I did cleaning for a little bit, and people treat you different. The interview process was harder. To be like, there was not a nice chat. It was we'll sit you in a room and interview you. And it's amazing how I think it made me have a true appreciation to where everyone works. It can be actually really hard, and when you're not a professional, you get a lot more flack actually, because I don't know, it's just you get treated differently sometimes, especially in interview situations.
I can really understand that, of like your identity coming from that nursing career and then feeling a bit of a loss of identity. But isn't that horrible that we treat people differently depending on what their job is?
Yeah, I used to actually, weirdly, I used to pretend that I wasn't a nurse when I was a nurse, because I didn't want them to go, oh, just to see what, like, I tried I don't know why I did it, but I was curious to see. And then but it's a really lovely thing. But then I realized, I guess in some way I needed reassurance that I was worth something. And so nursing filled that hole. And even though I know that's Christ, but you can easily get swayed. And then when but the difference between this illustration job and the nursing job I did is, with this one, I actually don't feel I'm hiding myself in it. I feel that it is me sharing what I'm good at. And I don't feel like because I used to feel that people think I'm ditzy, people think I'm forgetful, which I am, but in a negative way.
Oh, so your illustration is a way to fully express that almost and be authentic.
Yeah, and I feel free in it. I don't feel the eyes of I mean, I suppose you get that wherever you work, and I think that's really hard, especially when you do work the nice thing about working yourself, you're not working in a team, or you are collaborating with people, but it's not it's hard working in a team, it really is. And you learn so much, but there's always gifts and curses with everything you're in, isn't there?
That's fascinating, and I think I like a couple of things you said there. I like what you said about your religion, not even religion, I think your belief, right? Because I think I think about this a lot. Even for me, I'm similar to you in that I have a relationship with God in such a key part of my life, and I think we all get our confidence or sense of self from something. Some people had really loving family growing up. Maybe they had this amazing childhood where they were so loved that their confidence comes from that. Some people didn't have that, so they turned to Christ. Some people turn to books. Some people turn to mentors. So I think we all find confidence in different things. And I always love to explore where yours comes from. And I think I love the fact that you were saying about how, because you had a foundation in Christ, it helped you to, when that disruption came, from what you thought was you were able to go back to your foundation and then move forward with confidence. And I just think we all find that in different things. So this is, by the way, guys, I hope you guys don't think I'm trying to preach, but I just think it's always cool to talk about where people find their confidence from. And I think, again, it's different for everyone, and it's whatever it is. I don't even care what it is, but I love that you were able to demonstrate how yours helped you to navigate a change and move forward and still feel as if you were worth something, not because you were attached to being a nurse, but you were just being yourself as an illustrator.
Yeah.
And for balance, everyone, I'm a lapsed Catholic.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Okay, so and you said so it sounds like obviously illustration is a way to express yourself. I think another thing is that so many people struggle in this life. I think one of the best things you can do is discover yourself. So it sounds like you are starting to, or you're on that journey anyway.
I think it's interesting because you think you hit the sort of top, not top, I'm trying to think of a better word for it, but you think you reached the top ladder of your understanding of you at some point, I think, in your for me anyway, it was like in my 20s, I'm like, I know who I am. I know I know what I'm good at, I know what I'm bad at. I know everything about me. But then as you get, is it whether you change, I don't know, but you discover or you see the things, the flaws, or the things, not just the flaws, but you see the things that also grow in your younger self, and you learn and grow from that, I think. Which can't remember what the question was now, but
It's a good point. It doesn't have a question, but it's a good point.
that's a good one. What was the question again?
I mean, for me, I think somehow motherhood's definitely involved in that the identity shift that you have when you become a mother. There's something about it where you might have been chasing things that weren't really that important to you before, but it crystallizes, I guess, what is actually important or what matters to you. I mean, that's kind of how it's worked for me, that I feel like I've changed as a person, and things that I maybe thought were important are less important to me now because I have a different perspective on life.
I think it's interesting because my journey for so I had struggled with fertility, and it was very difficult. And that so the praying and the pain, and the pain was even before I could have a child. The wanting for a child was so immensely painful, and I didn't think we could. So that's why my little Peter, I feel he's a miracle twice, because he was, not only we didn't think we were going to be able to have a child, we ended up having him, and then we nearly lost him, and then we nearly had it kept going. We nearly lost him when I was pregnant, and then so when I said it was okay, and then we nearly lost him again when I was pregnant, and then so it's, I guess I knew I was a mum. There's literally, I feel the motherhood started when we started our fertility treatment, when in hospital, and I think that, like, I wrote him a poem, like, and I used to like, I feel that motherhood journey started a lot earlier. And it's hard, again, that whole thing about identity again, is that, will I feel like a better person if I have a child? And being like, well, no, actually I won't be a better person. I have to see which way life goes. I had to be accepting that I might not be able to have children naturally. I might have to adopt or a foster, but that heart that wants to be a mum is still there. And I think, like, that, that's just, I really feel, and anyone out there, just I really feel for you that pain, and it's a totally validated, and you're not feeling that pain. But equally, not everyone does have that. But
no, I think that's a really deep and interesting perspective of motherhood as being something that was in you beforehand. And I think, you know, especially around kind of baby loss awareness week and things like that. Personally, I haven't lost a baby, but I've known people who have. And I think that there is that desire to be a mother within people who have not managed to have children. That is a really difficult thing to cope with and to grieve, I guess. And I think having an insight into that from your journey helps you empathize with people who are there and that kind of longing that they have.
And actually, I want to give this, so it sort of vaguely links. You know, my really good friend Becky, she not only does help me with my business side, she loves my little boy, as though it's like a sort of, because she hasn't got her own, but she loves Peter, and we let her, it sounds awful, we want her to be able to share that feeling of seeing, but he can't cycle yet. It's going to be a lot. She thinks he'll be next week, but it's not going to be next week. But she's like, he might be able to cycle next week. And we're like, maybe. He wants to be there. Yeah. And I think that about sharing your life with people that want to be involved too is such a gift, because actually, like, was it what you just said, Tiffany, about is it a village to raise a child? Like having
village to raise a child.
I mean, everyone has different family choices, and people to have different boundaries, but with going to a church, it's about allowing other people to love your child as well. And that can take, sometimes it can be like, okay, there you go, hold a child, don't drop it. You know, but actually it's nice to let people to be able to experience that as well.
I like that. That's a good point, because I struggled with that, because I grew up in a sort of So where I grew up was very, I don't know how to explain it, like, because I lost my mom when I was quite young, and then I had my dad. We grew up quite we didn't have much family around us a lot, so I was quite like independent, did my own thing, did what I wanted. So, but my husband's family are very present. Like, we've got the three grandparents. It's a lot. So I've struggled with the idea of like letting them kind of share in that parental responsibility almost, because I'm like, I want to make a decision about what he does, but sometimes they want to buy them a coat, or they want to buy them. I'm like, I'm not sure about that pattern. But I think you're right about kind of allowing other people to experience that love for your child and share the love for your child, because that love there's enough to go around almost. And I think sometimes you have to almost let go and detach yourself a bit, because it's good for your children. They thrive when they have different forms of love in their life. It's not just maternal, it's a grandparent, it's, and I think it takes a bit of freedom and confidence to allow them to love your child, and for your child to love them back, and not feel as if they're taking it away from you or anything, because it just means that, again, I can have a career because I've created that space.
I totally agree. So I was away this weekend. It was my dad's 70th birthday and my sister's 30th birthday. So we called it like a joint 100th birthday. And my extended family and I, so aunties, uncles, cousins, all went away. So there were 18 of us, including Ted. He was the only child. And he has a relationship with each one of those people. Even so, like, my cousin's husband was on the trampoline with him. He is so excited to see those adults, and I don't normally get to see him with them because they're looking after him when I'm not there. Watching him and his relationship with them was lovely. It was really nice, and I'm lucky to have quite a big family that he has relationships with. And really, that experience is something that you want them to have. You want them to have those relationships, and the more people you can bring into their lives, whether they're related to them or not, the richer kind of experience they have of life.
And you can really see it with Peter, actually, because actually when he's with his parents, he like, well, you'll know this. Everyone listening who has children will know this, that when they're with mum and dad, they don't really have to try very hard, because we kind of understand their sort of they can almost grunt to us and we'll understand exactly what they're talking about, whereas
like a shorthand, isn't there?
Whereas when there's other adults in the room, they have to kind of make the people they feel safe with, they have to make the extra effort with. So yeah.
Good point. Let's talk about your work then, because I know that your work now means something to you in terms of your message to the world and to children. Tell us more about that.
Oh, well, I have quite a lot of little missions going on at the same time. One of the big one that I always get called for, which is I really love. I go with what people really want, so because you can't give something that you basically, what I've learned is you have to listen to what people are asking for. So I've adapted what I think people need to listen and sort of change it. So what I'd go in to do is basically share the love of imagination and storytelling. And in that and because if you go, right, we're going to make you a confident little individual, we're going to have a confidence session, the kids will be like, what? Whereas if you say, right, we're going to have fun and we're going to tell stories, that in itself gets the same outcome. And I basically am like, when you've got siblings playing and there's the older bossy one, that's me when we're and then,
nice.
and basically so I have various different things vocations I do. So one of them is at the Winter Gardens that I do a lot in, and they basically invited me to they have a theme, and then I have to work out how my character Bear, which is one of the main characters in my stories, goes into the museum and learns about something in the museum. So we've had Wild Friday, learning about animals, and where's Wallace the lion, because if you haven't heard about Wallace the lion, you should go and learn it, Sunderlanders, if you're out there. Then I've done a Bear Daring to Dinosaur, which is coming up on the 30th of November. Tickets aren't out yet, but it will be, so keep watching out. Where Bear goes in a time machine and we go back in time, and then we have to discover the dinosaurs, and then we reenact it. So we tell the story, and then it's like immersive storytelling. But in it allows children to have fun, and I think children learn best when they're having fun.
Mhm.
So that's where it comes from. And then on the other side of that, so we've got the storytelling part, and then you've got the illustrating creative, sort of that probably quieter time with one-to-ones when like you sort of go around in a group, and quite a lot of them are that I do that with is tends to be home ed or SEN. It can sometimes they can cross over, sometimes they're separate. And that's because my working schedule is around my little boys. So if he's back home, I can't do a workshop. But that's what I've loved and I've discovered through learning this is you having a child with SEN actually helps a lot, is that you kind of have to not give up on the child. If the child doesn't want to do it your way, you have to then keep pursuing and try and almost, because every SEN child is also different. So you can't just try option 2, you have to try option 3, 4, 5, 6. And I'll try and have lots of different things in my back pocket. So if I do a workshop, I'll have 3 hours of material, but we'll only use 1 hour because I know that every child is different. And that's not wrong to be different. I will also challenge children because I think sometimes you can say, I think you could try, give it a go. And if they don't list, just watch it and don't have a set out plan in your head, because you could end up hurting, that sort of damaging their esteem. But yeah.
I get that. Because I find when I'm doing creative stuff with Ted, I really struggle with letting him just do it the way he's going to do it. I want it to be like a nice product at the end of it. And I've really had to learn that it's about the process and not the product. So it can look terrible when we finished, but he needs to have agency over it.
Yeah, because that's that building block, isn't it? Because I suppose if you skip that building block, how are you going to expect them to get higher? And that subconscious thing of telling them that's not good enough. I remember actually, I don't want this to be a therapy session. But,
we like to get deep here, don't we, Tiffany?
Yeah, you gotta get deep. Forget the surface. We're not.
So this is something that really, like, I will tell this to everyone, because it's actually your confidence in art, because lots of people say I can't draw, and it's probably because you were told you can't draw, because you go into I'm not criticizing curriculums, I'm sure they might do them differently now, and it's really good to try new things. So yeah, this is just my opinion. But you'd be asked to draw something that another artist has done. But there's no way you're your own person. Like, there's no way your thing is going to look like that. So I don't know why they set out doing that. I think you can get ideas and try and sort of like try a new sort of style of drawing or whatever. But actually it's, and then I remember one day I drew a bit that they said you have to draw your worst nightmare. It's imagination. It's imagination. It's like a cartoon. I can draw cartoons. So I got my big pencil, blunt pencil, and did a big scruffy, because that's my style, scruffy monster face, and I was very proud of bee eyes. Can you imagine bee eyes, crocodile claws, your worst nightmare. The teacher came round, I was very proud, and she went, I know that's very scruffy. I was like, fine, don't like art then. And I didn't pick up a pen till I started just journaling. I journaled, I didn't draw at all. I had stories, and then I thought I was forced into drawing because I couldn't wait for my husband, who did do art at A level, to illustrate fast enough, because he had no ambition in like doing paintings for my stories.
Wow.
So yeah, I think that's a big thing. I think is I think rethink of how we do art in schools, but I haven't been there for a while, so.
But that's interesting. I like the take you have on children and the encouraging way of getting them to be more imaginative and allow them to tell their own story. I think this might be a good point, if you're okay with it, Alex, for Hannah to tell her story as well. So guys, this is the first time on my ambition. So Anna, this might be one for the kids, so maybe get your kids on. Anna's going to illustrate a story. Is it a title or?
It's called I Can't Bear to Be a Bear. It's called. So Okay, everyone. So what I would usually do, just so you know, that I would get all the kids sitting down, ready. I would have done a little music warm up, and then a character called Bear comes out, and we might do. You said we might do a YouTube clip of this, didn't you?
Mhm.
Where you'll see the bear. Okay. Let us set the scene in the prestigious Bears Academy. Bears of all type of breed come to study and to read, to learn all the bear skills, to be qualified. The best bears are from here, this could not be denied. Grizzly, polars, brown and giant pandas attended the Bears Academy. But in a room of the university, there was a trainee bear having psychiatry. I can't bear to be a bear anymore. That is it. I have had it. It's the very last straw. The bear doctor, tapping his notebook, unsure what to say. He'd never heard a bear say this, not till this day. Can't leave, the bear doctor said. I'm sure you'll do better. Just try your best. And what do you think the bear said? No, I can't bear to be a bear anymore. That is it. I have had it. It's the very last straw. The poor bear doctor exclaimed, but every bear wants to be here. Is it not innate? Is it not clear? You're a bear. Look, you're made to be. You can't throw your life away. Please, don't you see? No, I can't bear to be a bear anymore. That is it. I have had it. It's the very last straw. Oh dear, the poor bear doctor kneeled on the floor. Please consider before you go through that door. Think about your training. You can now collect honey. All that hard work, just think about the money. And you know what the bear said? No. My new ambition in life you will not defeat. I'm going to become a teddy bear to care and make children happy everywhere. Gone are the days of growling and fighting. This new way of life, how enlightening. And with that, the trainee bear left the academy right then and right there. He travelled to Sunderland. Whoop, whoop.
Woohoo!
By
Hey!
the train, into the hustle and bustle and into the rain. And now he's a happy teddy bear. He's contented in his new job. Oh no, lost it. He's happy. He's fulfilled in his new job. His hugs he loves to share.
Oh, thank you. Woo-hoo. Love that.
Hooray!
Love that.
Yeah, so if there's any agents out there or you know an agent,
Yes.
Calling CBBS for the bedtime story.
Yes, would like a cut. Thank you very much. You know,
you get
That was really cool.
that was wonderful. Thank you very much for that.
I liked how into it you were as well.
Mhm.
Oh, you have to, like, because actually part of it, I think, so I've been asked to go into school. They're doing this new thing called Books and Bagels, which I think is brilliant.
Sounds fantastic. How do I get involved?
Fortunately, you have to have a kid at the school, apparently. But,
Well, I like bagels.
I like
yeah.
bagels, yeah, and books.
Great idea, right? That wasn't my idea. That wasn't my idea. There was an incredible lady at the school I'm going to, but so I'm going there to like try and help some parents to know how to tell stories and like sort of using like just get if you're excited, the kids excited. Like so when I have music and I have props, I have exciting things because you want to make it an experience. So yeah, that's why I enjoy doing what I do.
Amazing.
You know,
Love it.
you know, I'd never considered that it's obviously the case that there are people out there who don't feel confident in reading their kids a book. So that's amazing what you're doing.
Yeah, and looking silly, kids love silly. I think I think learning just not to care that you might look a bit silly, like, and kids think it's the easiest joke in the world. I love Miranda. This is why Miranda's a genius. If she I would love to see like post like Matt Miranda.
Yeah, well, that's great. And I don't know if you have any more questions, Alex. I was going to ask where we can people can find Hannah online if they're looking for more of her work.
Well, if you want to find me, I've got Facebook, and that's Hannah space Graham space story space teller. So it's Hannah Graham storyteller, and then Instagram is Hannah Graham storyteller, but with an underscore between each word. I don't know whether it's true, whether storyteller is one word or two. I'm pretending it's 2 words. So yeah, please watch out for that.
I love it. And Hannah's illustrations are super cool. I feel like they've got a very Quentin Blake sort of vibe to them. Yeah, really, really nice. So yeah, definitely check out her work on both Instagram and Facebook. And if you're in the Northeast, get along to one of her sort of live performances at the Winter Gardens and things like that. I mean, so cool, Hannah, what you're doing. And I love the transition you made from nursing to full-time illustrator. Amazing.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, should we wrap it up there then?
Or can I just say before you go, I just thank you so much. You guys are just, it's been amazing to not only hear you, but I get to see you on this as well. And it's just so incredible to be on this. And I really want to thank you for this incredible opportunity.
Oh, you're so welcome, Hannah.
Well, stay there and don't leave while we'll end recording. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us on this one. See you on the next one.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.